In our process here, we've got a conundrum. This is a Mobius strip, a representation of one. On the left side, we've got technology and what might be termed practical, operational, and logistical dynamics of life, or business, or economics, or political process, or even the military industrial complex. And on the right, we've got conscious spirituality, angelic and shamanic wisdom and discernment, and collective soul dharmic processes and dynamics. These are not mutually exclusive paradigms. And there's a gap that has been in place. Separation of church and state, if you will, is one example of it. We're not suggesting blending the two. We're just saying that this gap has been occurring and has been disempowering people to apply their consciousness, their love, their capacity for wisdom and discernment to very practical, nuanced, day-to-day dynamics of life. And therefore, we've generated lots of technology that's destroying the planet because the process of generating that technology was not informed by intuition, spiritual guidance, consciousness, wisdom, and unconditional love. So we've created the plastic bottle, and we've polluted the whole world with billions and billions of plastic bottles. And it seemed like the thing to do at the time. And the people who did it made a big profit for building it and deploying it. And people have been able to have lots of liquids and hold motor oil or medicines in these bottles. And the price is higher than the benefit. So in the center, we've got the bridge between these two very seemingly disparate dynamics of humanity. Conscious transdisciplinary collaboration and the necessity of synthesis for completeness of understanding to fully occur. In these moments, on these conversations, we are building this bridge between these different dimensions of human life process together. We hope that this will be an ever-evolving conversation, that we can increase the dynamic and speed and cadence of, and broaden it to a far broader audience. And by doing so, motivate, align, and inspire humanity. Humanity trades in knowledge. We barter knowledge. We sell knowledge. We imagine that knowledge is a thing that can be owned or sold or transacted upon or bartered. And we would suggest that knowledge is an illusion that's been created by the ego to create a commodity, a currency for social transaction. So we would suggest that accurate awareness of what is not knowledge. Knowledge is generally a recorded bit of information that we deem to be true and factual, and that we operate from, and we make decisions upon, or we utilize to apply to empower ourselves in the world. We would suggest that knowledge is a fundamental illusion that humanity has based society upon. Now, we're not saying that there isn't useful operational information that we can base decisions upon and actions upon. We would suggest that it is an amorphous information data set that's changing and evolving moment by moment by moment. Knowledge is not a static commodity. It is an evolving process. So if people look at knowledge from as equaling money, or equaling power, or equaling status, or equaling influence, or equaling capacity to affect change in the world, we would suggest that that is often a dynamic of personal ego, collective ego, tribal ego, national ego, or species level ego. The challenge is if we're operating from a recorded bit of information in our system, we're not conscious and we're imagining ourselves to be conscious. Our ego is imagining itself to be conscious as it goes to a recording that we've embodied, a simulacra, a referenced recorded bit of information. Operating from that like a skipping record, and beliefs are operate in a similar way. If we believe something to be true, we try to force and cookie cut the world to conform to our beliefs, just as we do with what we imagine to be knowledge. So knowledge offers a false sense of safety, empowerment, status, capacity, expertise, entitlement, and seeming capacity to facilitate, transform, or evolve the world. And often it does something quite different, just as the knowledge or the operational information that was utilized to create the plastic bottle at the time seemed like the thing to do. It seemed like the thing to do at the time. It seemed like a wise choice. And now we're paying the price. So what used to be knowledge, oh, this is smart to make containers out of plastic, is now being deemed unwise and not accurate knowledge. So if we just suggest, if we operate constantly from what is current, clear understanding of what is as best we can understand it, either through intuition, 100 different sources of information, or experience, that operational information won't become fixed in our systems as if it was a static reference point as that we would call knowledge. It remains an ever evolving piece of music or creative process that it is always transforming, always evolving, always getting better, and doesn't get stuck in dysfunctional modes, such as continuing to make plastic bottles for, 60, 80 years, even though they pollute the environment, and ignoring the impact on the environment while we congratulate ourselves for being so knowledgeable and so powerful in our capacity to create the plastic bottle. So together here now, we are building functional, holistic, conscious community and establishing a culture in that community, an evolving conscious culture and process. We're all defining this process together, new every day, like creating a mandala and then erasing it as soon as it's been created and starting a new one. And that is facilitative of accelerated rapid group consciousness and evolution of consciousness. We're hoping that this dynamic, this process, this conscious community, excuse me, my voice, I've been talking a lot, believe it or not, the last couple of days. My voice is not keeping up. This dynamic of conscious community, we hope, will operate as a gravity well, if you will, for well-intentioned, loving, caring, kind people to come together and to synthesize and synchronize their activities and generate an ever-evolving community consciousness that will serve humanity and the natural world.